If you are an estate agent, letting agent, or someone who is interested in the property market, then the UK Property Market Stat Show, is for you. My name is Chris Watkin, and each week I'm joined by a special guest. And this week we are joined by Ben Madden. We'll come to Ben in a second. Why should you watch this show, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the British are obsessed about the property market and the value of their own property. And, whenever the Land Registry throws some stats out, it's front page news. Whenever the Halifax or Nationwide put out stats, it's front page news. The problem is the Land Registry is looking at data from sales that took place 8, 9, 10 months ago. The Halifax and Nationwide are looking at sales that took place 2, 3 months ago. We're looking at last week, ladies and gentlemen, house prices, deals, and things like that. So we know exactly what's happening in the property market. So if you're a bit of a stat geek or love the property market and want to know where it's going, then this show is for you. This week, we are joined by Ben Madden, who is boss man of Fine and Country in West London. He is a thought leader in the estate agency industry and runs a number of charities for estate agents, including mental health charity, and an absolute all-round top geezer. Thanks for joining me today, Ben.
Thank you for having me, Chris. As usual, wonderful intro. Love it.
It's the only reason you come on this, isn't it?
It is the only reason. You're absolutely right. I'll see you guys later. It's been wonderful.
Hey, right. So for everyone else's benefit, ladies and gentlemen, the stat show has been going, this is its third year. And we look at the week in isolation and compare it with other weeks, the other same week going back to 2017, and we look at the direction of what's happening in the property market. Week 1 is Monday, the 6th of January, all the way and to include Sunday, the 12th of January. So we'll be looking at the stats there and then comparing it accordingly. The show itself will last approximately 1 hour. The first half of the show will be looking at the UK property market, and then the second half will be focusing on a town or a city and really deep diving into that city's property market. Now, this week we are looking at the city of Bath, or Bath, as some people say it. And the benefit of that is that we'll be comparing the different estate agents and letting agents and how well they compete against each other and how good they are. We'll be using a number of metrics. Now, if you're not from Bath, you might find that potentially a little bit dull and boring. But what I would say is this: we're going to be using a piece of software which allows us to compare and contrast the different agents and will help estate agents, this piece of software, if you're being clobbered by overvaluing, you're being clobbered by cheap fees, because it's a bit of kit that can prove that you are a better estate agent. So if you're suffering from those, then do watch that part of the show. Have a look at how the software works. All the graphs that are in the show are available to download in the show notes on YouTube, and I'm more than happy for you to use them at Valuations and internally. All I do ask is that you don't use them on social media. And the reason being is that my daytime job is I'm a property statistician for local estate agents, and they do use that in their social media. So I ask you just don't use them on social yourselves. Right, Ben, shall we crack on and go and have a look at what's been happening in the first week of the UK property market?
Let's do it.
So immediately we always start off with listings, and you can see here that for the first week, which started on the 6th, is 27,420. Okay, in terms of where we are with the market itself, there is no dot on this graph, simply because, as I said, the line only starts to appear on Excel when you actually have two dots. I learned that one yesterday when I was making these graphs. What the hell are these graphs? But 27,000, so it will be somewhere in the order here. So you can see here, well, you can see here as well, we've had a really, really good start with regard to listings. The average price of a property coming onto the market is 432,000. And again, very similar, because that's the cumulative. That's it in the same, that's the week 1 standalone, comparing our different weeks. Okay. So immediately, then we're going to say, well, that is a cracking start, isn't it, for listings?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's very, very positive, and I think indicative of the second half of the year. General election, people holding out, umming and ahhing, rate changes. I think we could expect a very, very positive Q1. I mean, apart from anything else, also we've got to consider stamp duty changes coming in, and our people may be over Christmas thinking, let's take the plunge, let's see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a very positive start to the year.
Now, we'll just say, ladies and gentlemen, that our weeks always start on a Monday. So in 2024, the Monday was the first. So our week one started on the first. Whilst this year, week one started on the 6th. So therefore, some of the stats that you're going to be seeing this today are going to be a little bit on the optimistic side or a little bit fuller because our week started 6 days later. Now, as I said, in January it was on Monday the 1st. If I'm just going to go to 23, just give me a second. I'm just scrolling through my diary now as we speak. It started on Monday the 2nd. So therefore, the trends, we have to take everything in this report with a slight pinch of salt, because especially for 24 and 23, our first Monday started on the 1st and the 2nd. So we got a bit of head steam there. So just be aware of that, ladies and gentlemen. Right, let's now move on and look at price reductions. Okay, so again, the number of price reductions, 21,232, which again, some agents might say, well, is everyone dropping their what's names with regard to prices? Again, remember, we're 6 days in. We've had that Christmas break. So again, just taking that with a slight pinch of salt. The average price of a property coming down is 403,800. And in terms of the price reductions as a percentage of the sales stock, if you can see here, so this is we always do this for the month behind. So this was, as you can see here, that we reduced 8% of our stock in December. But if you see here, that drop always takes place in December. But this just gives you, so in December we reduced 8% of our stock on the market. I mean, we've said this a number of times, Ben. Is that enough? Overall, just looking at the bigger picture of normally 12 or 13%, which means it's 1 in 8 of the properties we're selling as opposed to 1 in 12 down here.
I mean, I think the only way to say whether this is enough is when we get further into the data and we look at the ratio of properties going under offer versus properties available on the market. And if that ratio isn't high enough, then there's an issue. And the issue inevitably is around pricing strategy and attracting the right level of buyers. I mean, what are we looking at here? Where was it 27,000 listings in the first week versus pre-COVID 15 and 14? So we're almost at double the number of listings, which is fantastic. That's music to my ears. But I mean, it's really going to be time to sharpen the saw if you're a valuer, because if there's double the amount of stock on the market, understand that there's not necessarily double the amount of buyers. It becomes a buyer's market. Pricing strategy, absolutely essential when there's excess supply or more supply. So, yeah, to answer your short answer, probably not enough reductions actually, based on what we've seen in week one of this year.
Well, again, as I said, I think what we do need to take, as I said, with a slight pinch of salt, and we will say this a number of times throughout this program, is week one started later, so the numbers are going to be fuller. So we just have to be careful. We will be looking at the stock numbers in a second. Let's move on and look at cumulative gross sales. Well, this graph is going to be the same graph as this, simply because it is only 1 week. So we'll just spend some time here. And to say that the number of sales at 19,237 is literally 5% off what it was in 2021. So remember, back in the 20s when it was going crazy, and it went into 21, it was still going crazy. We are not in the same market as 2021. Now, interestingly, I've just done some stats just before we came on air, and we're filming this on Tuesday, the 14th of January, ladies and gentlemen. And from the 1st of January to the end of day 13th of Jan, we had sold 28,264 properties in the UK. And in 2025, we were at 27,793.
Sorry, Chris, in what year was that? You said 2025. Do you mean 24?
24 was 28,200.
Okay.
In 25, 27,800.
Interesting.
So we are actually just slightly below 24's figures.
That is interesting.
But no one was complaining about 24. Let's just remind ourselves what 24 was, and that is the turquoise line.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just have a quick zoom in on that.
But probably also worth noting that you've made the point that the data we're looking at is slightly skewed based on the week, it's the first week of the year. But that also means that even if we're marginally behind on this year versus last year's week one started earlier than this year's week one, so they probably had more business days in their first 13 days of the year. And so actually, we may even be at parity or above if you could do like for like on business days. So I think it's really positive.
Yeah, I mean, what have we had? We've had 2 weekend. I mean, we've had 2 weekends. Yes, actually, hold on a second. We'd had 2 weekends this year, and we've had one weekend. No, it's the other way around. I think again, we're just going to let things settle out and wait. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, being live on video, you tends to rattle you. Okay, which I hope please accept our apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We should. This is the purpose of this. Is because let's be honest, Ben. No one watches this. Just you and me having a chat.
Look,
Right.
it's a couple of geeks enjoying themselves, and if other people want to watch us enjoy themselves, then good for them.
Okay, so this is refreshed. This is the Resi sell-through rate. Okay, so this is the number of properties in your that were on the market that went to sale agreed. Okay, and again, there was a dip down in December, but there was a dip down here in back in the 23. These are the Christmas dips. So the magic thing is that look at the shape. Isn't it amazing that the graphs are always
Hmm.
almost the same shape? Up, we have an up and down. That's the Easter. Again, let's
Hmm.
just remind ourselves this. Look at this. So what happens is this. It takes off. We have a nice steady 2 or 3 months. Then we have three dips normally. We have a dip for Easter, and we have two dips for the two bank holidays. We have a slight drifting down. Then we have the dip there, which is the
August.
August bank holiday. I always mix those up, and then a continued drift down there. Okay,
Mm.
so that works quite nicely. So again, just nice to know that the market kind of just does the same thing, irrespective of what's happening. So that's a new graph. This is another new graph. This is a graph I know you're a big fan of. So the blue lines are the number of listings, and we always do this. So this is December's here, and then the red line highlighted in yellow is the sales agreed as a percentage of listings. So therefore, in December, we sold for every 10 houses that came on the market, sale agreed 9. It's around the 90% mark, which is really, really good. Now, it's nowhere near where it was in the crazy years of back end of 20, early 21. But look how the trend of that graph is going up, which is great news for the property market, that
Yeah,
more properties are selling. Now, the
and
number
they're selling at a higher in real terms. The numbers are increasing. So if more stock comes to the market and we maintain the trajectory of percentage of that market selling, we're in such a stronger position. It's unreal. It's very positive.
indeed. This graph here shows you the average price coming onto the market versus the average price of a property going sale agreed. We don't actually know what the sale agreed figure is. However, that remains pretty constant at between 1 and 2% below the asking price. So this is the orange line is the asking price of the property when she went sold subject to contract, and the red price is the average asking price of a property when she comes onto the market. Just again, for those that have not watched the show before, every early autumn we have the London market, which is where you are. So you're to blame for this, Ben.
Of
This
course.
yeah, these two that they mirror, okay, and we're telling you here and now in advance. The last week in August and the first 2 weeks of September, the average asking price in the whole UK will rise by 20%, and it's literally down to about 5,000 extra listings in Southwest London. That is how much, not the whole London market, mainly Southwest London, that SWW postcode, which is where you are. That
Yeah.
is that is the huge difference that London has on the UK property market. It's like average rents. The average UK rent with excluding London versus including London, the difference is about eight, £900.
Hmm.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's a bit ugly, isn't it? This is the standalone week for week one. The greeny colour is the average asking price of a property coming on the market, and the turquoise is the average asking price of a property going sale agreed. The percentage difference, 22%. Again, these are going to be a bit spiky. The long-term average is about 16%. So why is that? Why is there a difference? Again, just so everyone's aware, higher price properties have a lower chance of selling, so therefore that's going to drag the average down. Anything on that before we go to fall throughs?
No, no, let's get on to the fall throughs.
Okay. So fall throughs have jumped up, but it always does tend to jump up. It just after Christmas. I know we got the two Christmas spikes there. We haven't. I must admit, I haven't put the Christmas spike in yet, but it'll be down here. I'll get that sorted out. But fundamentally, it doesn't really matter what happens between these 2 weeks. It really is where's general direction. The percentage, again, we've had a big kick up there, but again, it is after Christmas. Fall throughs do really drop off the earth during December, so we always do have a big lift up. So we'll let that settle down. I think this is more. This is the more important graphic, and this shows you the percentage of sales in your estate agency pipeline that fell through, and we've had a drop in the Christmas, but we had, as you can see here, we had a drop there in December there, and we had a drop again in December there. So let's wait for that. But you can see here, generally, most estate agents should be losing, well, they shouldn't be losing anything, are losing about 5.5% of their sales pipeline per month.
Yeah, it's worth. I remember seeing a comment from somebody online that couldn't comprehend that graph because if the churn rate is if you're losing between 20 and 30% of your pipeline, if it aborts or falls through at some point, people couldn't differentiate between, well, why is it 5% now, and it's 5% in a particular month. Worth highlighting that. Just again, the overall fall through rate is what comes out as a collective, and I think this is really
24.2.
powerful.
24.
24.2.
Yeah. Yeah, it was slightly higher last year. There you go. There it is. So again, the fall through rate was 40%. So again, what this is the total number of residential sales in a month and the total number of fall throughs, and the fall throughs expressed as a percentage of this sales. Some people like this graph, but other people say, well, how can you compare stuff going in versus going out? So I think this is a much better
Yeah.
chart because you're actually saying, right, how many from your sales pipeline? This might be an appropriate time just to have a look at agents' pipelines. So here we go. So what we do is the pipeline is whatever it was on the end of the month going in. So these are 31st of December's nighttime, 1st of December, 1st of Jan pipelines. So there were 441,000 properties in estate agent sales pipelines as we went into the 1st of Jan, which compared, I mean, look at it, 359,000 as we went in to Jan 24 last year and 373 the year before. And again, looking at this, it was around the 300 mark. So estate agents have at least 35 to 40% more properties in their pipelines than what they had when before COVID. And all of that cannot be pushed. The blame on that cannot be the sales are taking a long time, because since Adam was a boy, they've always been taking 17 to 19 weeks. So that's good. It's quite, the fact agents have got a bit of pipeline going into January, which again, running your own business, Jan's always a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is so of all the graphs we've looked at so far, for me, this is the most positive. You say we're 35 roughly up on what seems like it was an industry norm, 17, 18, 19. Couldn't agree more. It's not about the time it takes for the transaction to get through, because it's taken that long for the last 5 years. So it's not a new thing. That lag has always been there. The other benefit, I think, is the average value of a home today versus the roughly 300,000 in the pipeline in 18 and 19. That if we get into, I don't think it's crass to talk about people's earnings and commission. That represents a significant uplift. And I think that is great for agents, because that's what we need to see. Agents earning more an ability to pay more for their team and really upskill their team. And this to me indicates that this could be a great year, and we could start to achieve that more and more.
Well, I mean, when Ian Preston famously says that the average estate agent's basic salary is in the UK is only £1,000 more than the minimum wage. When you consider it was nine or £10,000 more if you roll the clock back to 2016, it's
Yeah.
absolutely scary. And I think if we can get our fees up, we can pay people more, and we can attract more people into the industry and retain the good ones that we do have.
Can I just say something on the fees? I posted a piece of advice yesterday, and I'm trying to post content to help agents just in general. And so this piece was specifically around fees, and I think we need to improve on our service levels. But there are so many agents out there that are exceptional. They provide something better, they provide something faster, they make their consumers' life easier, but they're just charging the same as everyone else. And if the average, let's say, it's 1%, I don't know if it really is in the UK. If it's 1%, then just charge 1.1%. That 10% uplift on the volume of transactions over a period of a year will be significant at the end of the year. But my argument or my position is charge that 0.1%. When the consumer says, but look, everyone's charging 1%, as long as you can demonstrate you're better, you do it faster, you make their lives easier, would they pay that extra few £100s? I genuinely believe they would. And the objection is in your head. It's not on the table at the dinner table. If you do that in quarter one, I think you could do it again in quarter two because you'll have the confidence to do it. My argument is at the end of the year, if you're charging 1%, a 0.1% increment, incremental uplift every quarter gets you to 1.4% by the end of the year. That will change your life as an agency owner if you're currently at 1%. And I believe it's possible for everyone and anyone. So yeah, I'm with you. We need to work on bringing in great talent. To bring in great talent, it requires appropriate compensation. And this is how we get there.
And again, when was the last time that you or your team went on some training and development? It
Mhm.
absolutely scares me that, okay, the big agents can have training departments, but I would probably guess only the top 30 or 40 of them have a training department. And I can count on no more than those fingers the number of estate agency trainers that can help you with fees.
Mhm.
To
Yeah.
go between 14,500 estate agency firms, simply not good enough. So, if there was more, you're tripping over estate agency trainers in Australia, but in the
Mm.
UK, I challenge you to get to more than 10.
Yeah.
And I think the magic thing is this, is that we are in a people business. And when was the last time that you actually went on some development? How, do you know sales psychology?
Mm.
Or are you relying on that manual that you got from Bairstow Eves in 2000, that your area manager, that you never even opened, that's used as a doorstop?
It's,
You
it's
know,
that it's that old classic, Chris, that I know best. We've always done it that way, which for me, one of the most terrifying lines in the English language. We've just always done it that way. Well, the future is evolving at such a pace. There's so much. You mentioned sales psychology. If you look at sales psychology from the 80s, because I'm a bit of a geek, versus where we are now, the consumer is a different beast and behaves differently. And if your last sales training where you brought someone in from the outside was 10 years ago, you're currently communicating a way that doesn't appeal to the demographic you're probably talking to. So there's so much, but also sales trainers, absolutely. We don't have enough in this country, but there are so many online resources. If you believe it's a cost issue, jump online. It's everywhere. Follow you post content. I post content. I don't claim to be anything amazing, but it will be helpful because it's just what we've done that's worked here. And if it works here, it will work somewhere else. There's so much out there. I just don't think that's a good enough excuse that there's not enough trainers. You have to have that want, that desire.
indeed you do. So those was let's get off our soapboxes and get back to the stat arenas. Nothing wrong with it. Number of properties for sale at 605, which again is quite surprising, is a 5% drop compared to a year ago. Okay, so just bear that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. No, actually, no, let me just rephrase that. I think I've highlighted the wrong chart. That is December's. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I've got some duff info there. I think the number back end of last year was around 570. So apologies on that. I'll get that sorted. Um, Right. Just some other graphs which could be of interest. This is the proportional split between residential properties on the market, which is the orange ones, and the greeny colour, which is the properties sold subject to contract. I know you like that graph. And those
Hmm.
are the actual raw numbers itself. So I will get that sorted, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Let's just carry on. Let's get back to we've done the fall throughs. Let's move on and look at the cumulative net sales to date, which will be the same as that one there. So we are 89% higher than 23, but again, like we said, we are we started the week later this week, so we have to take that with a slight pinch of salt. So on 12,000, we're probably around that sort of level there, as you can see. So we need that week we need a couple of weeks under our belt before we can discuss that. Anything on net sales before we move on?
No, yeah, you're right. It's a little bit like looking at the Premiership after 3 games. It's really early to say, but it's nice to. Oh, for me,
Well,
it's
it's one game,
indicative.
isn't it? One game.
At the moment, it is, yeah, it is indicative. You can see, I think, a consistent approach. You can see trends. You can see, anyone who's watching this show, I imagine, has got their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the last 3 months, and so this should all, I think, create positive energy.
Good stuff. Couple of extra graphs, gross sales as a percentage of listings and price changes as a percentage of listings. This graph here basically shows you on a month by month basis. The reds are the number of properties exchanging and completing, and the yellows are the number of properties unsold. We do have this is the December figures. What you tend to find is I do get these at the start of the month, but I then have to refresh them at the end of the month because more come through that get found out through the system. But it's just looking at the general trend that you can see here that basically the red line is number of exchanges, and they have been rising since May 23. So nice one. But so is the number of withdrawals, which has therefore kept the stock levels relatively okay. But we'll
Yeah.
get apologies on that one. Um, this is an important graph. These are if we look at all the properties that have left estate agents' books each month, and we see how many of them have exchanged and how many of them have withdrawn. Because the exchanged are the ones you get paid on, and the withdrawals are the ones where you basically wasted your money and not been paid on. And you can see here we've had a slight uplift, but that might be just because of December. So, but generally the long-term trend is that 53% of properties. You can see, look, there's the December. Everyone gets their exchanges through, don't they? In December, there's the December exchange. There's another December exchange month. So fundamentally, around 53% of properties that left estate agents' books you got paid on with exchange and completions, and the other 47% you wasted your time and you didn't get paid, and the property didn't sell.
Chris, why is December every year a better month for exchanges than the other months of the year?
I would assume because home buyers want to get into the properties, so they're cracking the whip with the solicitors.
But do you think completions are the same?
I would say yes, because most are doing simultaneous or very close.
Are they really? It's actually, yeah, because my experience is that they're not, but I'm only talking about my
I'm
business.
only going on anecdotal evidence.
Okay. I wondered if it was anything to do with the people driving the sales. So, do you have someone who is targeted on an annual basis, and so they need to get themselves to target by the end of the year? Does that have any impact on the speed at which, or the speed at which your sale progresses, or it getting done before Christmas break?
Well, that means that estate agents are effective at sales chasing, which again we won't go down that.
Well, yeah, but Chris, so here's the thing, right? They're not effective at sales chasing because they don't do it. Do they do it in December because maybe their bonus is on the line, and so they could be effective at it if they just did it? I don't know. Try it out there.
Hey, hey, you're throwing a few grenades today.
I'm just putting it out there that imagine if you applied that same psychology to every month of the year, how much further along your pipeline would be every month of the year.
I mean, I'm on a number of Facebook groups for home buyers, and it scares me. They haven't heard from their estate agent. The contract's not been sent out after 12 weeks. Well, I would have expected the estate agent to be on over that after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we are I mean, more and more regularly, which it pains me to say, we are involved in chains where we find ourselves driving the entire chain, agents up and down, and not particularly interested. Which, in our business, it's surreal. But rose tinted glasses, I think we try and do things the right way. So maybe that's the lay of the land. You'll have a better insight into that than me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain national estate agent with a royal colour who get derided for their lack of sales progression. But by this, again, um, I'm a massive fan of outsourced sales progression. Now, that means either outsourced internally or outsourced to outsourced. Others are available, but Emma Alban runs a great sales progression, and Richard Megson from ASAP runs a great, and they're getting sales through in 11 or 12 weeks. And they're
Who,
saying,
who was the
come
first
to the
person,
whole
Chris?
chain. So again,
Who was the first person you said there?
Emma
Emma.
Alban.
And
A-
what's her business?
I can't remember the name of the agent, but you
Okay.
can get Alben.
Okay.
Yeah, great sales progression. She's got a team, and their average getting the sell through is 11 or 12 weeks.
Hmm.
The average in the UK is 19.
Yeah.
And I just genuinely believe is this the skill set that my wife used to be a sales progressor. Would she make a great estate agent? Well, she's in the room. So, yeah, you'd be absolutely fantastic. But no, no, her skill set, the skill set required to do sales chasing is not the same skill set that makes a great estate agent.
Absolutely. We
Okay.
we internally outsource to our head of sales progression, and our average in our business is 9 weeks because she knows what she's doing. She enjoys it, which I think is most important of all. Get a job that you enjoy, and you'll do it really well.
Yeah.
And it works. You're absolutely right. Different set of skills required to be good at different things.
She's chasing it for and progressing it, not well, most agencies, they're chasing when am I going to get paid?
Well,
Which
Chris, you know what most agents are doing? They're chasing new listings or they're chasing ringing the bell for a sale going under offer and forgetting that the real work begins when you ring that bell.
it is, that's where we earn our money. Right. Let's now move on and look at this graph here. And this graph here, the particular line that we are looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is the orange line. So why is that particularly important? Okay. The orange line is the pound per square foot of properties that went sale agreed. Okay, we do this on a monthly basis. Some people disagree with me that using the pound per square foot is a great way of judging the housing market and house prices. All I know is this. If you overlaid the land registry figure and backdated the land or forwarded if you forward the orange line 5 months and overlay it on the land registry, it's almost perfect. So if you want to know, if you believe the land registry is a great way to judge house prices, then we can foretell what the land registry will do with a 92% Pearson coefficient, correlation coefficient. Oh, get that one out when you've had a few beers. That is what's going to tell you to happen to house prices. So we know when the top of the market is and when the bottom is. And again, you can see here since 22, so everyone's been raving the last few months that house prices have been on the rise and it's all rock and roll. We were predicting this here in late spring, early summer, ladies and gentlemen. They just started to drop. They will drop. And then later in the summer, they will go up. And then they will drop back a little bit down again. So we're just nice and steady here. So if you want to know what's happening to house prices, follow the show. This graph comes out most weeks, but it gets updated in the first one of every month. Anything on that before we go and look at some new rental data, mate? Oh, right.
Oh, show me the rentals.
Right. Okay, then. So this is more data. You can download these, ladies and gentlemen. So this is just before we come on to the rental data. This is some new data that left the show in the summer, but now I've got a wonderful VA. We can find the data for this, and that shows you, and I appreciate on the screen, you might not be able to see it, but if you download it, you can have a look. This shows you the number of properties for sale in the different regions since 2017. This one here shows you the number of properties for sale end of December 24 versus end of December. Oh, bloody hell. That should say end of December 24 versus end of December 23. My apologies. Again, I was up, ladies and gentlemen, until 11 o'clock last night because I just thought I'd just drop the numbers in, realizing that all my graphs were up to 24. So I had to spend 3 hours updating all the graphs. So you can see.
Chris, sorry, on the last graph, just if you just go back one, I can't. I'm slightly colorblind. Which is the region with the crazy large numbers?
That is southeast.
Is it really? Wow.
Southeast is a huge market.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I was blind graph last night. You can see here the number of properties for sale in the southwest is 14.84% higher. The average seems to be around the 8% mark, with Northern Ireland having a drop in residential properties for sale.
You know why that is, Chris? Is that a particularly buoyant market and there's just not enough coming to market, or?
It's a really small market, mate. So the
Mm.
number, you only need a couple of hundred either way, and it goes all over the place.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, the number of properties in Northern Ireland has genuinely been dropping.
Okay.
I don't know why. Okay, it's
Interesting.
a very strange, not in a bad way. It is a very strange market that it seems
Mhm.
something completely different to what the UK is doing. Okay,
Okay.
let's move on to the rental
Interesting.
data. So the rental data here is showing the average rent per region per year going back to 2016. Now, what is particularly interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is that in London, so most of the areas have just been a nice steady up graph. You can see here. Let's just have a quick. There we go. You can see just a nice steady up. Apart from
Hmm.
London that dropped down because this was everyone leaving London in COVID. So I posted this morning, it's got quite some incredulous comments. The average rent in a London, which is the core postcodes of N, NW, N, NW, W, SW, SE, E, and the two central postcodes, has gone from three, as I said, 2,400 to 3,100. Okay, that is 8.3% less than inflation. You should see the hassle I've got on Reddit for posting that.
I'm not surprised in the slightest. I mean, proportionally though, in a London, as a percentage uplift, it's not as dramatic as some of the others.
No, it's not. It's
It just stands out because of the big numbers. But
yeah. But if I was talking at a landlord conference and someone said, well, my son's rent's gone up by 30, 40%. Well, I said, let me guess, he moved in 2020. She said, how did you know? Because you can tell. Here you go. 2,200 to 3,100 is a 50% rise.
yeah,
Fascinating. If you actually look at this is the scale. Okay, this is private rent since 2016. Look at the Southwest.
I mean that is outrageous though.
Yeah,
That
and it,
is,
and it, and it has continued. I mean, look, if we take out inflation, look, inner London, 8.3% cheaper in real terms. Okay. And outer London. And people are going to say, what about salaries?
yeah,
Well,
the age-old
okay,
argument around earnings. Yeah.
yeah, salaries have gone up by the same amount. Let me just find the stats for you. Just so anyone that just thinking to yourself, here we go.
What oh, Phil, while you look, the Southwest, do you think these wild numbers are driven by, so if we're looking at an 8-year period, are they driven by the short-term rental market? Because 44% is insane.
I don't know the answer. I mean, it started, if you look at the actual Southwest rents, it was just a normal, boring region like everyone else. And then all of a sudden, after COVID, it took off and it has continued to take off.
So yeah, you're looking at a basic, supply demand imbalance that's driven by what was it? Rightmove the year after COVID in the top three search term, a view had found its way into the top three terms that people were searching for on Rightmove, which is people leaving London heading to the southwest.
Hmm.
Um, and
All
it's
aboard at Paddington. Right, I've got the stats here. The median wage in London in 2016 was 34,892, and the median wage in 2024 in London, 47,453, which is a rise of 36%.
Mhm.
This inflation in that time has also been about 30, it's 36%, it's 36.4. So actually, wages have kept up with inflation in London.
Mhm.
Rents haven't. But look at the southwest. Scary, scary as hell.
Wild. That is just insane.
And I just thought it was a COVID thing, but it has continued over from COVID. Okay, so I mean, there's the yellow, and it's very different. You'll have to download the graphs, but it was always up there. But it's just this is the number of available rental properties. This is not average rents, and you can see here that the lowest was around 23, but the number of rental properties has grown. But most have grown. The number of rental properties coming onto the market has grown in the last year.
Sorry, is that the northwest? That's top.
No, that's available rental properties. Yes,
Available. Okay. All right.
number of available
Sorry.
rental
Yeah.
properties.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there's the rents. Let's see where the west the southwest. So it's that bluey color. It's this one here. So before here, it was middle of the league, and now she's number two or number three in the
Yeah.
UK. It's scary, isn't it? Lots of graphs,
Crazy.
ladies and gentlemen. Right then, I think anything else before we go to Bath?
No, enlightening. I like the rental data. That is some new learning. I like it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue on with the rental data, and we'll see if we can get some more data out of my VA, and hopefully help you be better letting agents. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can download them, you can use them with your clients, but you cannot use them on social media. Right, without further ado, let us go to Bath. Right, Ben. For anyone that's not watched the show before, we are using a piece of kit called Insight. Insight is a piece of kit that is made by the firm called 20EA. 20EA have a number of products, and one of them is called Insight. Insight is like Rightmove Plus on steroids with glitter balls and lasers. It is truly exceptional. It allows you to go back 5 years, and the data and the insight it gives you is truly amazing. This is available to estate agents. There is a free version, I believe, which gives you limited amount of data for a short period of time. Then there are a number of packages that you can have for your town, your region, or the UK. If you are a national agent watching this, the vast majority of your firms have this package. So ask them, could you have the insight data? If you're not from Bath, please, and you're being suffering from overvaluing or cheap fees, if you are producing the results you think you are, and this will prove that you're a better estate agent, which means that you should be able to, as Ben said earlier on, charge more, and you can prove it. Truly groundbreaking stuff. You don't mention my name. I'm not on commission. I'm just an absolute massive fanboy of this bit of kit, as I know Ben is as well. So without further ado, let us go and have a look. So for the purposes of this, we are looking at Bath, and we're looking at BA1 and BA2. I appreciate that there are other areas outside, but we're just looking at core Bath. We have we go back 5 years. I've purposely gone to the 1st of May. And the reason being is there were some anomalies on the data because of COVID. So I've moved the date on this data because it's cleaner data and less spiky, so you can see some sort of. So without further ado, let us go and have a look. And the first thing you can notice is that in those last 5 years, that 14,118 properties have come on the market with an average asking price of 593. We'll remember that figure. Ben, just jump in, Ben, at any time. Let us go and have a look at the sort of agents and what they're doing. So we'll start off with Andrews, which are the regional chain around the Bristol M4 corridor. Let's have a look. And we can see here that their market share was drifting, as Andrews as a whole drifted between 2021 and 23. But it's good to see here that it looks like their market share has grown in 24. I've got a lot of time for the Andrews group, know that a lot of the senior managers, so this is really good. I don't know if you have any connections with Andrews yourself, Ben, but those are good stats. But nice to see that the big agent is actually growing.
Yeah, no, I know a couple of the girls in the senior leadership team. I think they're very, very good at what they do based on social media interactions. And I think they do things, it seems they do things in the right way. So, yeah, it's good to see her.
So well done for residential sales team there at Andrews. Let's go and look at Allen and 387. So Andrews are obviously the lower to middle market because if the average was 593, they're obviously dealing with the lower to middle end. Let's go and look at Allen and Harris, which again I believe are part of the Connell Sequence group, and you can see here that their market share is pretty static. Let me guess. Yeah, we talked about the Boxing Day. So again, this is where it says December. So again, we looks like we've had some great, some good. That's the Connells sequence Boxing Day. That is the effect of the property mark that the Boxing Day has. Their average price 389. So again, lower to middle. Savills 1.3. We will look at the upper quartile in a second, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, 1.3 is the average sale price, and they've got 5% market share. That is very impressive.
Well, we're going to be having a look at the upper quartile in a second. Okay, Whiteley Haler, a general slight growth there. Average price 633. Madison Copley 363, so they're at the lower end. Crisp Cowley, Knight Frank 1.3. Looks like Hamptons. Looks like they've grown in 5, but slight drifting down in 24. Wonder what's happening there. Stratton's Partners. Slight growth, not much. Cobb Far. Nice and steady. Tinings. Carter Jonas. We'll just do this for the benefit of the agents. See if there's anything.
Chase Buchanan are in Bath. Well, that has blown my mind. They're a local agent to us.
Okay. Winkies. Slight drifting. Okay. I'll just go through these so I know the agents will want to see how their market share has changed. We will just have a, yeah, okay, here we go. I'll look at HomeWise, but again, that's the retirement ones. Let's just have a quick look at the upper quartile. Hold on. Okay, 14, right, here we go. Let's have a look. Just wait for the stats to come through. Okay, so I'm going from 750 upwards, seems to be the upper quartile or upper quintile. And we can see here that Savills and Knight Frank. Savills are really good. Let's just let's just go really posh just for a second. Let's see who so Savills, if you've got something over £2 million, it looks like Savills and Knight Frank slug it out. That's good. Let's bring in the millions. And again, that's gonna we'll just knock those off, just see who the millionth 2 million is. Is it still Savills? Yep, it is. Who deals with the posh end? There we go, more of your Waitrose as opposed to your Selfridges. So there's some impressive numbers in there. Let's just have a look and just see how so Savills looks like their market share dropped in 21, but have remained nice and steady there. Let's look at Knight Frank. Slight drifting downwards. Crisp Cowley, slight growth. Hamptons, growth. Whiteley Halar, growth. Cobb Far, Carter Jonas, Fine and Country, Tinings, and Winkworth. Okay, let's just have a quick look at the last year, because we just see if there's any new incumbents to the market that we didn't spot before. Who's that? They seem to be pretty good. There's the Andrews growth that we talked about. Well done, Andrews.
Good year.
Yeah, really good. That's mightily impressive. Anything on that before we move on to the next one?
No, interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, next one. We're looking at the 14th of Jan to the 13th of Jan 25. Most estate agents will focus on the new instruction and sole subject to contract percentages. No, there's a lot much better data there. This is where you can prove how good an agent you are. Remember, a property will only leave an estate agent if she exchanges or withdraws. So therefore, you exchange, you get paid. Withdraw, you don't get paid. Okay, so this is really good to see. Andrews are at a 65% exchange ratio. Normally, the biggest agent in the town suffers from a lower exchange rate. So I'm really impressed with that. Allen and Harris are at 51. They're part of the Connell Sequence Group. Again, generally as a company, they're at the lower end of the range. I'm not criticizing, that's just the way they roll. Savills at 52, but again, if we just looked at the upper quartile for a second, because the upper part, the pricier homes do have a lower exchange rate. We'll just pull up that one. There we go. So again, what that's telling me here is that the two big agents are around 50%. That is really, really good for homes over 750,000. It normally is a lot less than that. But I'm looking there that Chris Cowley, your exchange ratio could be a bit better. I'm not criticizing at 38. Whiteley Halar at 66. That's really good. So I would say, if I was selling a house with Whiteley Halar, I could say, and it was over 750,000. Mrs. Miggins, you have a 2 in 3 chance of moving, whilst with the others, you only have a 1 in 2.
Mm-hmm.
Really powerful stuff. If you show them this, it works really, really well. Okay. So again, if you're one of these agents, let's just switch that off. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so let's just have a quick look and just see which agents are fall through rates. The average is 24. Oh, the exchange rate is 58, which again is higher than the national average. National average is 53. So really well done, Bath agents, on that one. Fall through rate at 24.1 is identical to the national average. There's no one there that's screaming that's big fall through rates. Again, if you want single digit fall through rates, go and check out. Do you do reservation agreements, Ben?
Yep. Gazelle. Do love a
Yeah.
good Gazelle.
Good stuff. Get your fall through rates to single digits, and as long as you get your valuers trained up, that's where the magic happens. Don't just give it to your valuers; get them trained up by the firms. You will use it's a brilliant way. Let's look at price changes. Is there anyone that's big price changing? Okay, 33% of properties are being price reduced. Who's at 49? Carter Jonas. So I wonder if they're a bit of an overvaluer. 42, 43, slightly higher than average. So we'll have a look to see if these agents are overvaluing or not in a second. Who's Savills and Whiteleaf Haler at 16? So these are not bad, not bad. Anything there that screams at you? Well, it's nice and steady, isn't it?
Yeah, it's steady. Yeah, yeah.
Now this is interesting. So what we do here is we look at all the properties that have left your books. Well, when I say we, I'm talking about 20 EA. They know the addresses of the properties that left your books, and they know what you put the house on the market for, and they know what it sold for. So therefore, when you put the house on the market, 20 EA would have looked at your listing, taken a note of your original asking price, and then measured that against what it actually ended up completing against. Okay.
And so, Chris, this data is on a lag because it has to wait for land registry to catch up.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But this is the stuff that's exchanged in the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it does take, but again, what they do know is this: they know the address of the property on the exchange anyway, because they involve themselves with the vast majority of solicitors. They know what's in the chain, and because they're not just scraping data, they are data that's part of 20 CI. They have like 500-600 pieces of data, so they know if you've moved because the removal firm will tell the address, and then they'll match it up. That's the way they work. So there is a lag, but it's not as much as a lag as you would think. Andrews are overvaluing by 1.1%, Allen and Harris 0.74, Savills 0.69, White Madison, they're undervaluing. Which again, nothing wrong with that because you can get some good prices. Now, interestingly, then what is the then price achieved from the original asking price? So the original asking price, 3.54% with Andrews. So therefore, they overvalued by 1.1 and they got 3.54 less. Isn't it interesting that Whiteler and Haler undervalued, but only got 1.4 and 0.85 less. So
Hmm.
what that is saying to me is this: if I was Whitelaw or Haylar and I put on a £650,000 house, then on average I'd get 639 if I was Whitelaw Haylar, 643, and with Andrews 631 and Allen and Harris 631, 633. So therefore, if there's nothing, there's something here that's telling me this is what this says to me. If you don't overvalue, you end up getting more for your homeowner. That is what's that saying.
Agency 101.
There you go. If you want proof, people in Bath, if you want to get the most for your home, you undervalue, get a great price, get the interest, get it sold.
Ramp up the.
Overvalue, I mean, look, these agents here that are overvaluing something rotten, look at the prices that they're achieving. Now, again, you're going to say there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. But if I was an estate agent and I was Whitelaw Haylar or I was Stratton and Partners, I would be using this data and say, Mrs. Miggins, here is independent proof that you will get £9,000 more. So if my fee is an extra thousand, you only have to pay me one if I do my job, and you'll get £8,000 back. And here's proof. You can see why we're big fans of this, ladies and gentlemen. Anything on this before we move on?
No, except, yeah, I said it a minute ago. Agency 101. If you reduce the price, it's turning a pyramid on its head. You increase the exposure, you increase the interest, you drive up the price with competition. So many agents, including in my own team, don't appreciate, or my team do now, but they required the proof that this strategy works. And now my team are completely bought in. And if you're an agent that need proof, it's on the screen right now. It will work in any market. I guarantee. Well, there are caveats, actually. I don't want to be too generic there, but it works in general.
Let's now move on, and we'll move on to how quickly the agents are selling the houses. In the last year, it's taken 65 days to find a buyer, compared to 63 days last year. So, I mean, that's 23 as opposed to 24. We can see here that Hamptons take a long time to find a buyer. How long do they do from sold subject to contract to completion? 134 days. The average is 125 days. So you can see that basically this takes, so the quickest agents are Strattons that get their properties away in 147 days. This is the top 10 agents versus Hamptons at 235 days. So you can see there's a difference there. So there's always going to be stats, ladies and gentlemen, the way you can use them that make you look a better agent. Okay. And again, some of these agents here, your head office will have most of the head offices have insight. And if you say they don't know what it's talking about, send them this link. I can tell you, most of them do have this bit of kit. And if you use it well and market it in the right way, the correct way, because you could get clobbered by the ASA if you don't word it in the right sort of way, then you can prove this. You can show that you're a better agent. Okay, let's move on. Final thing is this is the lettings. So you can see here, open rent. That's strange because open rent have grown, but it looks like they've dropped off, which is completely against the grain compared to the rest of the UK. Roman City, well, must be student lets. Yeah, okay, we'll keep going. We'll just go down these.
What would be interesting to look if we're seeing a downward trend is to look at the property count for the last 12 months versus maybe the previous, just to see if it's a general market trend that there's less lettings property in the market, and that's why open rent are seeing their numbers reduce.
Okay, let's just have a quick look because I appreciate time is moving on, ladies and gentlemen. And hold on. So the number of properties that came on the market in 2020, hold on, 4,780 at an average rent of 14.59. And then let's just move this. There we go. Wow.
Mm.
4,800. But again, there's some student lets in there, so we will have to take that with a slight pinch of salt. But there were student lets in the other ones. That is
Yeah.
scary as hell. I would probably want to do some investigation. Let's just take that students off. I just want to just check what that student does. No, that is amazing. Wow.
Mm.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those have been your stats for the Bath property market, mainly residential sales, but also lettings as well. Um,
Hmm.
Hope you got some benefit from that. Ben, final words from you.
Uh, Good start to the year. Positive end to last year. I think we could be on for a great year as a sector. There's a lot of challenges ahead, but let's make hay. Let's get out there. Let's raise fees. Let's chase down sales. All the good stuff. I'm looking forward to the year. Good luck, everyone.
Ben, thank you for your time today. More importantly, thank you for watching. The show comes out every single Friday on Property Industry Eye with a title that says What's Happening in the UK Property Market this week. So please do check that back every single week. Thank you, Ben, and thank you for watching.